You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast for all ages from 2 and everything in between. I'm Tiernan, every week. And speaking of in between, which I was just a second ago, yes, I was. Yes, I say the word in between every week. What do you mean you don't believe me? Just go back. Yeah, go and rewind. Go on and check. Yeah, there you go. For all ages from 2 and everything in plasticine. What? I definitely didn't say that, did I? Oh, well, now I'm confused. Everything in plasticine doesn't even make sense. Well, speaking of in-between, anyway, which I definitely was, I've been sent in this joke this week from Anonymous, aged 9 farting gorillas, which is, as we all know, a very exciting age to be. And let me tell you, this is a great joke, but I think it is also a mystery. Are you ready? Are you sitting comfortably? No? Why not? Well, check what you're sitting on. Yeah, don't sit on a hedgehog or Lego bits or wasps. Sit on a sofa. Right, done? Great, okay, you see, much better, much nicer. Okay, here we go. What did the nose say to the other nose? I smell something in between us. Brilliant. That is very funny. Thank you, Anonymous. That made me giggle when I first read it until I did one of those horrible snot bubbles that then floated out the window and upset a helicopter. But... and it's a big but. Stop laughing at that. Stop it. I just said big but. But what was it that the nose smelled in between them? I mean, why is there no follow-up joke to let us know? Oh, I think I may have to turn this podcast into an investigative detective show once again, because we need to find out what that nose smelled that was in between the noses. So, there are two noses just hanging out, having nose chat. Isn't that what noses do? Or do they? Does your nose talk? I don't think mine has ever spoken, but perhaps it's just shy. Or maybe we have to ask ourselves, are they even nosed at all? Could these noses be aliens in disguise as noses, or perhaps small creatures in nose fancy dress? This, of course, is not our mystery, but just one piece of the jigsaw puzzle we need to do a crossword on to play snakes and ladders and discover the real truth. One of these noses says to the other noses, I smell something between us. But what do they smell? If they're talking to each other, they can't be too far apart, so was it a very slim, smelly eel or worm? Maybe it's a tiny lump of pungent cheese, or one unbelievably old sock hanging there in midair. Perhaps a skunk who wanted to join in the conversation, a fart that is being directed as purposeful distraction from whatever these noses were going to discuss. What were they going to discuss? Why were they so close in the first place? Maybe that's the question we should be asking. Were the owners of the noses about to, kiss, gross? And what if they didn't smell anything at all, and it was just a code word to show the secret mission to get rid of all the horrible smells on the planet had now begun, and it was only time before melodious grown-ups were banned from ever doing foul gaseous releases from their bottoms ever again, or using those car air fresheners that make everyone cough. But is that the truth? Or is this the truth? Or is this Ruth? Or am I Ruth? And what does in plasticine mean? And did Tiernan actually say it? Did I say it? Or maybe I'm Ruth? I will investigate on my new 7,000-part podcast series, Who Knows What the Nose Knows. Tune in. Don't tune out. Tune by. Actually, I haven't got time to work it out, and we'll do another investigative detective podcast. I'm too busy doing this one. Linda, what do you think the noses smelled, Linda? Ugh. Well, worth a try. Well, do feel free to send in any ideas that you might have in helping me with my nose investigation, and you can, of course, send those in by getting your melodious lubberworts, grown-ups, to help you email us at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk, which is also where you can send in any jokes, mysteries, or indeed questions that you need answering. Importantly, I need your Christmas questions sending in. There will be a very special Christmas episode of this where all your festive questions, or indeed questions about any other winter festivals or winter things that you would like to ask, they will all be answered by a winter expert of some sort. So please send those in before December the 14th, which I think is a Wednesday. Wednesday. Why don't we say the D? We should say Wednesday. Thank you. And don't forget, you can also check out our live Comedy Club for Kids shows at comedyclubforkids.co.uk and all our t-shirts and book at comedyclubforkids.store. Now, something has come between the bits in this podcast, but luckily it's just that... Oh, no, wait, what is that smell? I better reopen the investigation, and while I do, here is the most importantest bit. Here is the most importantest wit. Hang on, that's not what I said. I said importantest bit, didn't I? Oh, this is very peculiar.
He was known famously for having the longest nose ever seen in history.
I am so pleased that on this week's Radio Nonsense podcast, Shelf are back. Rachel and Ruby, a.k.a. Rascal and Rubles, a.k.a. Euston's Most Wanted Boulangerie impersonators, or as our Zoza-speaking listeners will of course know you, Izo Zinumbuzen Zimanfam Zamissa Ia Pilakosi Zam. But of course, you are most famous for jointly winning the gold in individual loitering at the 2017 Smolympics, for ghostwriting the best-selling autobiography for the world's largest vole called Whole Lotta Vole, and for your pioneering invention of rice, but really big. It's so lovely to have you two on the show again. How are you doing?
Hey! Hi. Yeah, really good, thanks. Really good. Just been watching our vole, hanging out, all of that. More accolades than I thought we had.
Yeah, making our big rice. Thank you for doing your research.
Yeah, well, but it's also so impressive because I just, like, that's one of the things with rice is you eat it and sometimes you're like, it's so small. Like, sometimes you just want a big rice, you know?
Big old rice. But you need the exact right. We've experimented and you want rice no bigger than a fist.
Right. What happens if you get more rice than that? Is that not good?
People get very afraid. They get very scared.
Really? Just of the rice's presence, or the possibility they could be crushed by rice, or what? Because I like the idea of like, wow, I could just have like a baguette, but it's just one rice.
But then how would you get the best? Would you have like an egg baguette but rice? That kind of vibe. Thinking about the best, what goes best with rice.
Oh. And
then if you go too big, how do you get your fillings with the rice? Although I actually think egg fried rice baguette, but the baguette is rice, would be delicious.
Yeah, that's like double. That's like all the rice mixed with you've just made, I think, what sounds like one of the best dishes I've ever heard of.
It does sound amazing.
Back to the drawing board. I guess you're wrong about fist-sized rice.
You get a massive baguette rice. You fry that maybe a little bit, and then you get scrambled egg in it, and it's like egg fried rice, but you can eat it like a baguette.
That sounds amazing. I suppose the issue is how do you, because you have to boil a rice, and if you just got one rice, you can boil it in like a thimble or something tiny, or an acorn hat. Mm-hmm. But if you've got a giant rice, how do you boil that?
Yeah, because you don't have a pan that long.
Bathtub.
Yeah. Wow.
It takes a long time.
Yeah.
It's so...
It does, and you got to be careful not to put bubble bath in, otherwise you ruin it.
Bubbly rice.
Yeah.
Like bubble tea, but rice.
Yeah. Bubble rice. This is astonishing already. We've only just started. I was already blown away by the innovation of rice but big, but we're on next level on giant egg fried rice sandwiches and bubble rice. This is just, was this spurred on by the vole? Because obviously the vole is very large. Did you look at the vole
we
and think
we like big things here at Shelf? I think because we're so big ourselves, it's about trying to find ways to sort of match that in the world around us.
It's hard when you're bigger than everything, especially rice and voles.
Yes. Well, I know that's been an issue for you, and it's why I really appreciate that you've managed to find specifically big enough microphones to do this show. I don't know how you've constructed those; they look very impressive with sort of bits of scaffolding. And where are you recording this? Are you having to stand in a sort of stadium or something like that?
Yeah, we're out in a big field. It was the only place we could get both of us. Generally, obviously, we have to stay apart because we start to affect even sort of the gravitational pull of the earth because of our size. But obviously we love Radio Nonsense and we wanted to be together to do this. So we are standing in a massive field with our massive microphones and our massive rice baguettes.
Yeah, but if you notice more asteroids than usual, or if the tides go kind of weird, that's probably why. Wow.
Well, hey, I appreciate that you're here. I'm slightly concerned about the dangers this could be causing, because I want this to be like, obviously, we have our listeners and they enjoy the show, but I don't want them to also be not only intimidated by giant rice, which may now happen, but now terrified of a sort of impending comet disaster.
Well, a good podcast should be a risk.
Yes.
And I think children understand that.
And because you two work together, so every time you work together, are you having to sort of be in touch with NASA and just like give them a little pre-warning, like you might have to explode some comets?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is obviously, space there's lots going on in space anyway. We all know about space and the complications and confusions in space. Yeah. So obviously NASA is aware of us and our massive selves. And so we just sort of like keep in touch. And sometimes it's quite helpful. Sometimes it can be useful to kind of bounce asteroids away at times.
Oh.
I think that's how gravity works.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, is it like, because magnets, and I don't really understand magnets, but like sometimes they hang out, sometimes they like don't want to hang out. I think that's the scientific way that it's talked about, isn't it? Sometimes magnets are like, hey, other magnet. Sometimes it's like, go away, other magnet. Is that the same with you two? Are there times when, say, if you don't face each other, do you like, do things repel off you?
Yeah, so we can't stand back to back, for example.
No, we can't, which is a shame because that makes like for a great photo, but we just can't do it.
Yeah, we must always be nose to nose.
Right. That's really tricky. That's really tricky for you. And so, but the further away, I'm just asking about the science here because I don't really understand the science. I know the science.
Well, we're good at science.
Yeah, so that's what I thought I'd ask you. So is it the further apart, if you're standing face to face, but you stand far apart, there's less of a pull, but closer face to face is when it's dangerous, but back to back is super dangerous, right? Have I got that right?
Yeah, so you've absolutely hit the nose on the nose there. Like if we come too close, we will just come straight nose to nose. Can't come too close without being nose to nose.
Wow.
That's why we're stood on either side of the field right now. But yeah, if we coming back, that's just not even an option. Back to back, goodness knows what would happen.
So dangerous.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal that you two have, worked together for so long with all these difficulties. And I think that's really inspirational for a lot of our listeners out there who may also be very, very big. I don't know how many others are. I'm not a very big person, so I think I often forget how many big people there are because I just walk past and not realize their legs. That I think maybe they're trees. Those are some nice gene-coloured trees, It
happens. We've had dogs wee on our legs quite a lot. It's a hazard of being this big.
It's happening right now, actually.
Oh, that's horrid.
Yeah. Oh, you get used to it.
Yeah. Keeps you warm, I suppose, in the winter.
Yeah, it gets the snow off. That's nice.
Yes.
That's really nice.
Yes.
Yeah, moving. But on the plus side, we can reach the clouds. So and see, smaller people can't do that. We can pick stuff up off the high shelves or high buildings.
Yeah,
that's really nice.
Yeah.
Helicopters, if they're ever in trouble, we can give them a little.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. Just sort of give them a little nudge, and they fly off. Like you might help it. Like sort of someone of like my size might help a bee.
Exactly
Yes.
Exactly like that. Yeah,
that's lovely.
And helicopters pollinate the clouds, so it's a very similar. Yeah, that's how you get rain, as we all know.
That's
science.
Lovely. And can I ask, because I'm very aware that I don't want to sort of use the incorrect terms on a show like this. I want to be, we want to be inclusive. Would you be gentle giants? Is that the correct term, or is that Oh no, you look very offended by that. Is that the wrong word? Would I? Oh.
Some of us are gentle giants.
And some of us like that term.
Yeah. I personally like massive person.
Right.
Or just massive.
Right.
Okay. That for me is my preferred.
Yeah, and I personally like to be referred to by my full name, which is Ruby, who is very, very big.
Right. That's an amazing full name. Is that so? Were your parents' surnames who is very, very big? Or is the who is the middle name bit? How does that break up as a?
So my mom's surname is who is very, and my dad's surname is very big, and they just decided to combine them for me when I was born.
That's, and that's amazing, isn't it? That's amazing.
You've
sort of grown into the name as well.
Literally and figuratively, yeah.
Wow.
Would have been such a shame if they'd done it the other way around and you were Ruby, very big, who is very.
Yes. That would have been very confusing, very, very confusing. But they obviously thought about it. And I think it's nice when parents do that, actually. sometimes they don't think about it at all, and they just sort of throw in the names. And but very considerate. Well, no wonder you've grown up to help out helicopters. With parenting like that. That's lovely. That's very lovely. Wow. Well, listen, especially considering how difficult it is for you two to get together and be even in the same field, let alone the same sort of country or landmass. I really appreciate that you have brought yourselves together for this podcast. Again, it's nice to have you back on the show. And obviously, I've got a question that I think only you two can answer. I think that you are the experts on this, and I'm going to ask it for you in a minute, but we do have some admin. Got to do some admin. I've got to get that out the way first. And I appreciate that you've done some of this admin before, but I need to just double check. So the first bit is that this is an audio podcast. And as I say every week, our listeners listen to it preferably with their ears, but they might listen with their bums or their knees. We don't discriminate. However they want to listen, that's fine. And because it's audio, I just wanted to check if you two had a favourite noise that you could preferably make for us, but even just tell us about.
I do have a favourite noise. I think my favourite noise I may have done last time.
Well, it's okay. You can keep having a favourite noise. That's the same noise.
It's a consistent same noise. My favourite noise is.
You did do it last time, but it doesn't stop it being brilliant a second time.
There's a warmth to it. It's fun to do. It's a nice noise to make. And it's sort of, I don't know, I guess it kind of, there's a timbre to the noise that really, it's pleasing to me.
It's a really good noise.
Yeah, do you know what, when I hear it, sort of hearing it again, it reminds me, I'd almost expect to hear it in the back of a nature documentary, but no one would explain what it was, but it would seem at home,
Exactly. It could be an insect, it could be a bird. Like, that's the thing, there's a lot of, it could be anything. It could also be, you can slow it down.
Ooh.
You can. Yeah, that's more of a bubble wrap sound, but it's all done in the set with the same tongue motion. By far my favourite noise. Always has been, always will be.
It is a fantastic noise.
Come on again?
Has it got practical use? Have you been using it in certain situations? I try to think people find the noise of bubble wrap quite calming, so maybe that's good for calming people, or is it just to give the effect that there are insects and birds around?
Yeah, so it has. So it can calm you down with the bubble wrap noise. If Ruby tells a joke that isn't funny, I can do it as like crickets. So it's like.
It's hurtful, but it's very fitting.
It makes people laugh, so they haven't laughed at Ruby's joke, but they will laugh at my cricket noise. You can also pretend you've broken your nose. If you want to get out of something, you can be like, ow, wow. I've broken my nose. I'm going to have to leave now. Those are my main uses for it so far, but I'm always open to new suggestions and ways to sort of, utilize such a fantastic noise in my day-to-day life.
It's a fantastic. I can see it being very handy in haunted houses. If they haven't quite got all the sounds down in the haunted house, that's some good creaking going on there.
I think that really works.
Yeah.
If you were pretending to like turn a screw or something like that, if you're pretending to fix something but you haven't actually fixed it, so that like sort of doing a little prank or something, you can use it in that.
I think
pretending to close a bottle before you give it to someone, being like, oh, that bottle's shut, then handing it to them and then they drink and it goes.
I think you could have a lot of fun at dentists or at doctors, like surgical procedures. You just hide in the back, you make that little noise, and I think, what was that? That wasn't meant to happen. And it, all fun, just fun and japes.
So much fun and jokes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a brilliant noise. And Ruby, do you have a favourite noise?
I do. I have a noise I enjoy a lot. It's a sort of slightly similar concept to Rachel's favourite noise, but it's made with the hands instead of the mouth. Here it is.
Oh, wow, like a multi-click.
Thank you. Yes.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's obviously hard if you can't see what I'm doing, but my hands have tiny little drum kits on each finger. And it's just a very quick little.
Which is, I mean, it is impressive how many, and each finger plays a drum kit by itself while also playing them together. It's like you've got an entire percussion section just on your hands.
I do, yes. It's a lot of mouths to feed, but we're very happy together.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's brilliant. Is it because you are obviously who is very, very big? Those full size drum kits on each finger?
They are. Thank you for noticing.
Yes, well, I mean it's very hard not to. They're quite impressive, and that obviously has a lot of use. Not just, I guess, sometimes orchestras, you know, if they can't get in all the different members, they just call you to hang at the back.
Yep, exactly. If anyone is ever in need of a drummer and they don't have one, I can loan one out. Maximum of 10 on at any one time. But yeah, I usually have a drummer ready to go for any bands in need.
That's amazing. And that sound in particular that you made, am I right in thinking that's supposed to be the most jazzy noise that a person could make?
It is, yes, it is. It beats out jazz hands, which are obviously quite hard to hear unless you listen really carefully. But that is the jazziest noise of all noises.
It's great. It's so jazzy. It's just like all the clicks and forever in time, because even if you've missed the beat, there's several other clicks to hit on the beat afterwards, which is it's very impressive. Two very impressive noises, and thank you again for doing those. Absolutely brilliant. And of course, the other bit of admin that I do have to ask you is this is a family friendly show. It's suitable for people of all ages, any age you can imagine. Can you two imagine an age?
Ooh,
7.
93.
Yes, but both of those, and in fact 793 or 937, both of those. So it's suitable for all ages, not 100. Long story, not going to talk about it now. But every other age, it is suitable for. Just so that's perfect. And because of that, I just want to check if there are any rude words you won't be saying on this show, so that we can make sure it's suitable for everyone.
I won't be saying pong whistle, which I find to be a horrible word.
What?
Yeah. I just think I would hate to hear the word pong whistle on this show.
Yeah, that would really upset me.
Yeah,
really, really not pleasant. Not okay.
No, that would. I think we'd be taken off air. I think they'd. I don't know if you can delete a podcast entirely, but I think it would happen.
I'd be glad they did. To be honest with you, I'd be really glad they did, because it's just you can't be hearing that word.
No, me too. I'd lead the campaign. I'd try to bring myself down. That is, it shouldn't be allowed at all. Can I check for safety purposes for the, you know, you've obviously said pong whistle as in the singular. What about the plural? Can we say pong whistles?
Gosh, I mean, I myself have never heard it.
Right.
No, I'm quite alarmed by imagining it.
I can't even fully comprehend what pong whistles would sound like. Do you know what I mean?
No,
that really would be.
Yeah. How would you? Where's the apostrophe? Is there one? You know?
Yeah.
After the P? No.
And
I like the sound of that. Maybe there's two. After the P and after the H.
I think. Yeah.
Put-ong. Woof. It's yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, thinking about it causes me like sort of trouble. Really, it just makes me feel a bit
upsetting. It is upsetting. It's an upsetting word.
Yeah. Wow. Well, please don't say pong whistle or indeed pong were whistles. Ruby, can I just check, is that also you also doing that word, or are there other words we need to know that you're not saying?
I am, of course, obviously equally horrified by pong whistle and pahong whistles. But I also would never and will never say fizzle whiz on this show or in my day-to-day life.
Crikey, no, I know.
We're all aware.
Yeah, that's. I'm very grateful that you wouldn't actually, because I've known people. There are stories of people hearing that and simply just exploding.
Absolutely, and I think the thing I find the most disturbing about fizzle whiz is there is 11 Z's in that word.
Oh yeah, minimum.
I'm not wrong on that, am I? It's an alarming number of Z's in the word.
In the dictionary, it is the most upsetting word to look at, like just in a visual way.
Which also, I mean, you have to wonder: is it that someone was asleep and was rudely interrupted by the rest of that awful word? You know, was somebody just zzz all the way and then fizzle whiz? Which makes it a lot worse, if you ask me. The idea of someone rudely waking up someone else it's horrible.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree. It's someone who's fallen asleep, been woken up, and then had to go back to sleep again, which is it's disturbing,
awful.
It's terrible. It's a terrible story, a terrible reality, and an awful word. So I'm very pleased that I'm very pleased that neither of you are going to say pong whistle, pong whistles, or fizzle whizzes. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I definitely won't say those things either.
And we appreciate you not saying pong whistles or pong whistles off is always
Yeah.
We appreciate that, because we would have to leave if you did.
I
Obviously.
I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you at all. So,
And obviously, and us moving is so difficult
So
because of our
hard.
size.
Yes, it would have been.
So
Yeah, it would have been
thank
catastrophic.
God you haven't said it, because that could cause unknown chaos if we
It's
start.
not
walking.
worth. It's funny, isn't it? People just think this is a simple, fun podcast for people to listen to, but there's so much at stake. Not
is
least
so
the
much
fate
to
of the
think about.
galaxy, the planet.
Exactly, because we'd be shocked. We'd start walking in opposite directions. Who knows what kind of chaos that could cause? We're, startled, alarmed, upset, crying. Like, our tears,
Huge.
like, unbelievable damage that can cause.
And like, if we
Wow.
haven't had time to tell NASA that we're on the move, they don't have time to prepare. So,
It's a nightmarish thought. And listen, well, look, we've averted that. We're going to avert that. It's not going to happen. And I'm glad you've given us the rules to make sure it doesn't happen. That's all I'm going to say. Safety first, and second,
Absolutely.
and definitely third, then crisps, and then possibly also fifth as well. But now that we've got that out of the way, and I'm glad we did. I've been sending the questions, I said, and I think this is the most important bit. And this question comes from Carrick213. Now, so there's a lot of questions there. I don't know if they are the 213th Carrick. If 213 is perhaps like your parents, Ruby, that is their surname. Perhaps one of their parents was 21 and the last one was. I don't know. I don't know or perhaps they're just 213 years old, which is also absolutely fine for this podcast. It's not 100, therefore it's allowed. And they are Carrick 213, and then they've put a comma US. Now again, that could be us. It could be that Carrick and 213 are two separate people, and there's. Yeah.
Another double act. That would be nice.
Yes.
We'd love to see it. Carrick 213, just as we are Rachel and Ruby, comma us.
Yes.
Shelf us, as obviously, that's what we came up as when you sort of accepted when we got on the call.
Yes.
Rachel, Ruby, us.
So it could well be that we're addressing two people. It could be, or it could be the United States of America. I don't know. They didn't specify. Very unlikely, because I don't think anyone lives there. It's quite a small place.
Yeah, United States is tiny. As the massive people that we are, I've not even seen it. It's so small.
Wow.
So I doubt there's anyone living there.
I hope you haven't trodden on it by accident.
I don't know if we should talk about that on a public forum, but maybe once or twice. Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, I hope then Carrick 213 they aren't from there. Otherwise, that could have been devastating. Well, listen. Although it could explain what their question is, and it's interesting you brought this up a minute ago about your own sort of experience of this. But Carrick has asked, they have asked, who knows? How do you commit human eye water in brackets crying?
How do you commit?
Yes.
Commit.
Yes. How do you commit human eye water in brackets crying? And I'm pleased they put in crying, because they could mean that just general eye water. I guess.
So, I mean, from the term commit, I'm gathering that Carrick lives somewhere where eye water is illegal. Does that sound correct?
I assume, again, we don't know where they're from. We know that there's possibly two of them, but we couldn't possibly fathom where they're from. But yeah, I guess maybe if you commit human eye water, it could well be an offence. I could well see a lifetime in jail, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. That would make sense.
Yeah.
What is the question? How does one, or how do you?
It's how do you, but it's also it's a small just letter U. So it's not you as in you. It's like how does the small letter U commit human eye water?
Interesting. How does it? Crying. How do you commit human eye water? And is that us again? Us personally? Because Ruby and I might have different ways of committing eye water.
Human eye water.
Eye water. Yeah.
I think if we start there, can we start there? Is that a reasonable starting point? Do you commit human eye watering in different ways?
Me myself, I generally commit dog eye water.
Right.
It suits my palate a bit better. It's better for my skin, I find. Dog eye water is much better than human eye water. Everyone knows sort of human eye water can be a bit salty, a bit more tart, whereas dog eye water, very soothing. So I tend to commit dog eye water, and generally I do that by wagging my tail and sniffing a tree. That tends, for me, to allow me to then commit dog eye water.
Wow. And does it, but it is like cry, it comes out of your eyes, or is that, does dog eye water come in a carton or a bottle, or?
No, for me, it's from my own eyes.
Right. That's,
it is from my own eyes, mine. But I do know people who, some people don't like the sort of natural way. They do prefer it in a carton or a bottle.
Sure.
But me, myself, like it's straight from the source, from the eyes, and just prefer it to be dog eye water than human eye water.
I mean, you got to have a preference, so I do understand that. How about you, Ruby? How do you commit human eye water then? Have you got your own way?
So generally for me, it kind of depends on my mood, and mostly I commit human eye orange juice. And that's when I'm in a sort of good mood. And that's been a very useful sort of small like side hustle job that, I can sell orange juice on the side. But if I am very sad, then now and then I will commit human eye water.
Can I just say here that Ruby's human eye orange juice is delicious.
Thank you so much.
It's the best human eye orange juice I've ever tasted. And as you know, I love human eye orange juice, so I've had a lot of it.
Yes.
But Ruby's is particularly delicious.
Oh, that's so kind.
Wow. Well, I have to try it. I mean, I want to check though, because I'm sure you're aware, or maybe you're not because of your size. This might not happen to you. But if you ever get a bit of orange juice in your eye when perhaps peeling or segmenting an orange and it squirts in your eye, that often feels like the worst thing that can ever happen in the world. I think I don't think I'm putting that too lightly, but it's unbelievably painful. So if you are committing human orange juice from your eyes, human eye orange, is that stinging, or because it's sort of going out the other way, it's not stinging?
That's exactly it. Orange juice only hurts the human eye when it goes into the eye.
Right.
When it's on the way out, it actually creates a very pleasant tingling feeling.
Right. So wow. So we've got one. So you prefer dog eye water, and you do human eye orange juice. Then so how do you commit? Like, how do you commit those things? Do you just have to like shake your head? Or, like I'm just trying to. If there's, I don't know if Carrick. I'm wondering if Carrick 213 would quite like to commit eye water, whether it's an offence or not in their country. And I'm concerned that they can't do it. Like maybe they're poking themselves in the eye, or maybe they're watching very sad things and it's not coming out. Is there any special technique? Is it, can you shake your head in a certain way or anything like that?
A big part of it is self-belief, I think.
Right.
I think you have to, whatever it is that you want to commit, whatever kind of eye water or juice, or even eye tea, eye coffee. There's so many options of things. But I think it's really sitting with yourself and believing in yourself and knowing that you can.
Yeah.
That is the thing. It's all about, at the end of the day, but saying, okay, maybe I haven't committed human eye water yet. Maybe it hasn't happened for me yet. But I think that key thing is remembering it's yet. Remembering that it will happen. And when it does, just allowing it to, you'll know.
You'll know.
I think the tricky thing is with the word commit is it makes it sound like it is something you can actively do. Like you would commit a crime, or you would commit I don't know what else you would commit to someone.
I don't know if anyone commits anything else, do they? Is that?
They generally just commit crimes.
I think so. Yes.
So it's a tricky word with the human eye water. But because I would say that I think the key thing with whether it's dog eye water, human eye orange juice, it's something that happens to you. I don't think you're always in control of it. So you just have to believe in yourself, know that you can. And Ruby and I, we human eye water all the time.
Yeah, and Carrick 123, we believe in you, and we think that you'll commit human eye water when the time is right.
Yep, any day now.
I just have to correct you. It's Carrick 213. You've just spoken to a different Carrick entirely, or perhaps Carrick and then a different person who's not with them. We don't really know, but it was very helpful advice, and I thank you for it, especially as someone I have never. I don't think anything comes out of my eyes. Once there was a possum. I don't know how that happened, but generally it's not really. Nothing really ever comes out of my eyes. So,
Gosh, do you find that difficult? That must be hard?
I don't know. I've never really thought about it until now. I have to say, after talking to you, I feel quite left out now. I might have to practice and see if
I think you just need to believe in yourself a bit more, Tiernan, and then I think you could.
But I was certain I'm imaginary, and that's the issue. Which is that where it comes.
That would be where it comes from. Yeah, and that actually checks out that you could be imaginary, actually.
Yes, I've often thought about it.
Because you are so small.
Yes.
And you don't produce any kind of eye liquid.
No. So it's sort of quite magical, isn't it?
Very unusual, actually.
Yeah,
very unusual.
It's come up a lot, and I haven't dared question it on this show yet, but I assume there's a time and a place. But maybe I'll see what I can do, and perhaps that'll prove me wrong though, and maybe I'll just be sort of proper face blubbing. I don't know what the term is. Face hosing, face like spout, like a sprinkling. I don't know.
Spouting's a good way to describe
eye spouting.
it. Face flooding is another one.
It's a good one.
Human face flood. That word that used to describe me a lot of the time. Which is a human.
But that is because, as you say, when you do cry, you do also cause floods, which is pretty awful. So,
big problem in the giant community.
Literally big problem. Yes. So, well, listen. Thank you both. That is a brilliant answer, and I hope Carrick and 213, if they are indeed us, I hope that they are happy with that answer, and I hope that they are able to do some human eye watering, or even spot others committing it, so they can shop them in to the authorities. I suppose that may also be what they were trying to do. Are you two up to much? I guess you've just got to very carefully move away from each other for the foreseeable future now.
Yeah, so we'll just be organising ourselves, doing some, just basically working out how to continue to work together, and do comedy together while keeping NASA informed of our movement. So if anyone wants to know sort of where we'll be next, where we'll be performing, you can find that out through NASA.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for risking the safety of the planet to hang out together and do the show. Of
course, and thank you so much for having us, whether you're imaginary or not.
Thank you so much to Rachel and Ruby, aka Shelf, for, risking the safety of the entire planet just to answer Carrick's question. It is very much appreciated, and Carrick, I do hope you liked your answer, and if not, maybe you can write any complaints you have on some fruit, ask someone to put it into a smoothie, and then drink it, and no one will ever have to read it. Shelf are going to be doing their brilliantly fun children's show at the UK Kids Comedy Festival in Leicester on the 12th of February, and you can find all details for that at ukkidscomedyfestival.co.uk. It is a very, very funny, absolutely brilliant show indeed. And they do somehow manage to both shrink themselves down so they can fit into the venue, and they do the show without any sort of, galactic disasters. No, I have no idea how they do that either, but, do go along. Don't forget, if you'd also like to send in a question that needs to be answered, especially any Christmas or winter ones, then please get your malodorous lubberworts, grown-ups, to help you email us at podcast@comedyclubforkids.co.uk. And you can obviously send in jokes, solutions to the nose smell mystery, or anything else you like, really. And don't forget to check out our live kids shows at comedyclubforkids.co.uk and grab one of our Stinky Hippos or Linda t-shirts at comedyclubforkids.store. Speaking of which, what is that smell? I didn't investigate it at all while you listened to the most importantest bit. I just had a nap. It was lovely. Though I did have a very weird dream about making a sandwich and then opening the fridge to get things to put into the sandwich, but there wasn't any sandwich stuff in there. There was just thousands and thousands of stinky hippos who then started to escape it. Oh no, I do know that smell. But it wasn't a nap. And it wasn't a dream. Or was it? Or wasn't it? There were stinky hippos everywhere and no sign of a sandwich. And so we have to ask ourselves, was there ever a nap in the first place? Has anyone ever napped? Has anyone ever got a lap? Has anyone ever had a nip? Or a snack? Or a joke about noses? Or even a podcast? Or was it all a mischievous story conjured up by 7,082 very, very rotten-smelling large semi-aquatic mammals so they could escape the confines of their cold home where butter should be kept and let loose into the world? We can't say for sure, mainly because it smells too much to even think. But stay tuned to Stinky Hipposes, Stinky Supposes, as we try to find the answer, or at the very least, a sandwich. Bye! Bye. I didn't say I definitely said bye. This is weird. You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents. Radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense. It's the end.